On WSTM TV3.
These are the images of the 60s. The decade from 1964 to 1974 changed America profoundly. Did the 60s change the country for the worse? I'm convinced that it did. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll replaced work, family, and citizenship. Hi, I'm Dennis Prager. Peace, love, and Woodstock. Thank you, thank you. Love, flower power. You know, the joke of all this is, with all this stuff, is this, what is this? The sane crowd. I remember that. The joke of all this is I didn't wear any of this stuff when it happened. This is all absolutely the first time that I've done anything 60s-like in my life. We're going to talk about the 60s and, you know, what I don't think it was a positive thing, though positive things happen. And I know you think so, and I'm going to find out why you're wrong in a minute. But no, just kidding. No, but the fact of the matter is, now I can see things. Hi, everybody. I actually, I don't know to be embarrassed to admit this or not. I drifted. I was like an extraterrestrial in America during the 60s. I didn't get into the music. I did get into one aspect, to be honest, and it wasn't drugs. I didn't get into the drugs. I didn't get into the music. I didn't get into the politics of it. The fact that women at that point felt that they could have sex as casually as men, I thought was a blessing from heaven. That, you know, the first time in human history that women actually believed they could have non-committal sex. And I was born for that time. I felt that life was shining its favor upon me. We'll talk about that whole aspect later. But other than that, I didn't like this stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 60s and show my reactions and get your folks to react to what I feel by taking some of the great sayings of the time. I think, for example, it unleashed a tremendous amount of selfishness in America. And I'll tell you two of the sayings from the time. Do your own thing, and if it feels good, do it. Remember those sayings? Those were big sayings. Now, the point is, and I'm going to get your reactions, I know. I know you're this guy's chomping. You got to look at him. Good. The point is, it wasn't said as, let's all be selfish. It was meant as, let's overthrow the inhibitions of the past, and let's feel free to express ourselves and so on. The fact of the matter is, though, do your own thing, and if it feels good, do it. Launched what I think is a big part of the problem in America today, and that is feelings-based behavior. Instead of code-based behavior, feelings-based behavior. For example, I ask kids, would you save a dog or a stranger? Your dog or a stranger first. They, 2/3 don't vote for the stranger. 1/3 at least vote for the dog. I feel for my dog. I don't feel for the stranger. Let me ask you guys, do you think the 60s did good for America? You think, yeah?
Yes, I think it did. Because at least people were expressing love. And as, like today, I would much rather have somebody walk up to me with a flower and hand me a flower than sticking a gun in my back.
I would rather that, too. I'm not sure that's the only choice.
Well, I think
I would rather have a flower than a gun in my back, too. Yeah, but my contention is, ironically, that a lot of the reason for the increase in crime is because of the breakdown of the value system that the 60s made war against. You see, the reliance on you just making love and so on, as opposed to having any authority in the society, has helped this breakdown. We asked people, did you think the 60s were good or bad? Here are their reactions.
That the 60s definitely did not hurt America. In fact, they created a lot more openness and freedom, and that the people are able to express themselves more freely now and be open.
Oh, no, not at all. Did the 60s hurt America? The 60s were the best thing that ever happened to America. They didn't hurt them at all. It's just the opposite.
She's still living in the 60s.
People really came into their own and really knew that things weren't all hunky-dory and licey-dicey.
What's licey-dicey? I never heard this term from a grown human being. Licey-dicey. Anyway, let me continue here. Feelings-based. This was a big thing about the feelings and, you know, I feel, do your own thing. Now we go to the sexual arena, right? The big thing was make love, not war. That's another famous statement of the time, right? And we had the sexual revolution. I'm curious, I really am. Do you think, raise your hand, I'm going to give you three choices. The sexual revolution was good for America, the sexual revolution, a net good, a net deficit, or had no, you know, it's even, okay? And I understand there's good and bad, but the net gain, are we better off today for the 60s sexual revolution? Raise your hand, are we better off? We're better off for the 60s sexual revolution. Raise your hand, we're worse off for the 60s sexual revolution. That's very interesting. And I suspect that the way you're torn is the way most Americans would be torn. Should we see this video now? No, we're going to see it. We asked people on the street that. I want to analyze, as soon as we come back, hell no, we won't go. The reaction to the war, was this generation as idealistic as it thinks it is? I don't believe it was. I'll be right back to tell you why.
The fact that we're a married couple has a big bearing on our success because all our fan mail, kids are very happy that we're married and that we love each other.
When I get a yeast infection, I buy internal medicine. But for a burning external itch, I use Vagisil cream to stop it instantly. Vagisil works directly on itch nerves. Internal medicines don't. Vagisil can stop any minor feminine itching instantly.
Presenting Alchemins. For heartburn, they have more medicine than Tums or Rolaids, and people prefer the taste 2 to 1. What's more, we'll put our money where our mouth is. Look for this coupon in Sunday's paper and save. Try Alchemins.
Yes, it's coming to me. Just a moment. Hello, happy psychic helpers. Oh, yeah, I see a lot in your future, lady.
Have you called those other psychic lines only to be left with an empty feeling? Well, you deserve better. Call the Psychic Readers Network and speak to a psychic who really cares. We believe our psychics are the best, and to prove it, we want you to try us for free. That's right. Call now and you'll get a free sample reading with one of our gifted psychics. Call now. This call is free.
1-800-529-8717.
Last time on Pueblo 81009.
Take whatever you want, the cars, the mansion, but not my consumer information catalog.
Your catalog? I sent my name and address to New Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado, 81009. This free listing of helpful government publications is mine, and you want to steal it.
Oh, Brad, I would never do that.
You can't remember a thing. Yes,
Amnesia? Oh. Marco, remember using this free catalog to send for these free and low-cost government publications on saving money, getting federal benefits, staying healthy, and the catalog is free, free, free.
Free? Information on educating our children?
Send your name and address to New Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado, 81009. Don't forget, like Marco.
Marco? Who's Marco?
WSTM TV3 Action News means more news more often and more award-winning news for you in Central New York. Investigative reporter Jim Kenyon is honored by the Associated Press for outstanding work in his exclusive school bus safety investigation. And the American Hockey League has recognized Adam Bellini and his coverage of the Syracuse Crunch. For the best news, weather, and sports coverage in Central New York, turn to the Action News team for more news more often.
No matter what happens in the outside world, whatever their personal problems, the pulsating tempo and the thunderous, almost deafening sound drives out everything but the fun and excitement that's now. The music is here.
Do any of you remember this, actually? Do you know what dance that was? The monkey, the donkey? I don't know. Anyway, listen, I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue what this stuff was from, that sort of stuff from the 60s, even though it was my decade as well. I was actually into Brahms. one of the pretty weird guys of my generation. Anyway, we're talking about, welcome back, we're talking about the 60s and the verdict. There is a general sense in this country that the 60s have deeply shaped our times. I certainly believe that, and I think largely, not entirely, largely negatively. And I'm making that case to some disagreement and some agreement here. Anyway, we're talking about, hold on, the sexual revolution. One sec, on the sexual revolution, we took a vote here, and it seemed that there is more thought it was negative, which is interesting, than positive in its effect on people. We asked that, in fact, to people in the Los Angeles area. Remember, it is the Los Angeles area. We did not do this in central Nebraska, where we might have had some different results. These are the results, unscientifically, of asking what people thought of the sexual revolution in our area.
I think the sexual revolution was a good thing because it made people's attitudes more, lenient. People became more lenient toward gays and lesbians and interracial sex.
A philosopher once told me the sexual revolution was good depending on the amount of orgasms we had. So,
Los Angeles.
But I think it was good, to be on the more serious side. It sort of liberated us sexually, although I think it's overboard today.
Well, for those of you in Lincoln, I appreciate that that is not an answer you might have heard in your mall. So we do live slightly different worlds in some ways, not as much as it is often cracked up to be. I'll tell you, though, one thing the sexual revolution led to was a lack of stigma over any given activity, lack of stigma. And we went from 12% or so of unwed mothers to 30%. 30% today in America. Generally speaking, I believe that boys without fathers, kids without fathers, is the single greatest problem in the United States of America. And I believe that the 60s were largely responsible for this breakdown. Yes.
Another aspect of it, though, besides just the sexuality aspect, is the way that women were treated up to that point. You were either Donna Reed or you were a slut, kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, the 60s, you're not under somebody's thumb anymore. It became a level where we could be equal, and I think it's blossomed from there. I mean, I think there's some negative aspects to the freedom too.
Yeah.
But
well, I'll tell you, you ask women today who are dating, and they have some different reports about the men today. Very many men have been emasculated by what has taken place. There is no role that any women don't know what it means to be a woman today. Not all, a lot don't, and I'm not saying this critically, I'm saying it is a sad fact of life. I'm not sure that it's as positive. I think changes were necessary. I'll tell you this, you ask a woman today who bought Betty Friedan's ideas about feminism and therefore decided not to have kids and get married, but to pursue career. Now she's 42 years old, and all of a sudden she realizes career may not be the greatest thing in life, and it's not so easy to find a guy now at 42, and the biological clock is ticking for having a kid. I'm not sure she's so thrilled. I think that before we romanticize the present and demonize the past, we also shouldn't romanticize the past and demonize the present. But I'm telling you, big prices were paid. There was one very major advance in the 60s that has to be acknowledged, and that is racial equality. I mean, that's a fact of life, and that needs to be acknowledged. So there are, however, big problems that came from looking at America racially, and I'm going to talk about those, the sex thing, questioning authority, what happened to religion, and much more as soon as we come back. Don't go away.
Yeah. To all mankind, freedom is indivisible. And when one man is enslaved, all are not free.
I want to know about meeting that special someone.
Sorry, can't help you there.
I want to know more about a diet I can live with.
No way, not in this commercial.
I want to know more about Rogaine.
Rogaine with minoxidil?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. Just call this number now for a free information kit on Rogaine topical solution. It could help answer your questions because it's filled with all kinds of facts about Rogaine. And because you need a prescription to get Rogaine, we'll send you a list of local doctors and special money-saving offers to help you decide if Rogaine is right for you.
But I want to know right now.
We'll mail it to you today. So what are you waiting for? Call now for your free information kit. Call 1-800-327-1050.
Who would ever imagine that someday you'd be considering a divorce? Now that you are, your biggest fear is tearing the family apart. We understand. At the law offices of William D. Weisberg, divorce is inexpensive and as painless as possible for people who don't want their families torn apart. Call the law offices of William D. Weisberg. We can help you. 472-7868.
When it's 12 o'clock noon, turn to Action News at noon. Your best choice for a complete roundup of what's going on in Central New York. Laura Hand and the Action News team take you live to see the news as it happens. And meteorologist Tom Hoff keeps you up to date on the changing weather situation. On Action News at noon, your opinion counts. Ask questions and find out what your neighbors think every day, live. For more news more often, watch Action News at noon, only on WSTM TV3.
What makes a Burdick certified used car better than any other used car you can buy? Wow, now that's a Burdick Best Buy, certified. Certified used cars, available now at your Burdick family of dealerships.
All men 50 and over should be checked each year for prostate cancer. African Americans are especially at risk. Today's treatment options, including radiation therapy, can cure the disease. See your doctor or write today for free information.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. All right, the 60s is the subject, and I have a generally negative reaction to it. In fact, I have to tell you, I even had a generally negative reaction to it during it, which is very uncommon, I suspect, for those of us. I was in college and graduate school during its heyday. Watching kids turn my university upside down, I was at Columbia University, was a little disconcerting, to say the least. Anyway, and it was done in the name of love and with flowers. At any rate, I love love and I love flowers. One very good thing did happen, though, and everybody has to acknowledge it. Newt Gingrich, in fact, did in his address when he became Speaker of the House, and that is civil rights equality, at least in legislation. And we have many people to thank, but none as much as we have this man, Martin Luther King.
I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
That's powerful stuff. That is very powerful. And I often wonder if the 60s gave birth to that dream or not. Did the 60s give us rather, though, a race-obsessed thinking? You know, how many blacks are in your department, how many Hispanics, how many women, how many of this group? That stuff is not good, and that came from the 60s, too. So I think that that's an important part. Remember the notion of question authority? You'll still see that on the back of some Volvos to this day. For some reason, I think only Volvos could actually have that bumper sticker. I don't understand why. But anyway, that is a good idea to question authority, but that's not what happened in the 60s. In the 60s, I believe, authority was overthrown. The notion that there is something to which I owe something, I am obligated to higher than me, died for many Americans and a whole generation in the 60s. It's called, for example, God. It's called, for example, religion. It's called, for example, society. That, to me, was perhaps the worst aspect that comes from the 60s. Let me go to some, yes, please.
When religion died, it took on a more spiritual level of things. All of a sudden, people could define their own God and their own source of higher power. Whereas before that, it was either you God or you go to hell. But now, the 60s kind of opened that up, and there was Guru and Buddha and all of these different
Yeah,
things.
well,
that
first of
the
all,
women
everybody
used to.
defining his own God is, to me, a form of narcissism. That's exactly, no, that's exactly the selfishness that came from the 60s. No longer is God outside of me. God is now inside of me. I'm everything. I define God. I don't, oh, but that's what people do mean. I mean, but whether you meant that or not, that's the rhetoric that you use. People can define their own God. I don't think that's a good thing.
Well, it's still outside of you. It's still outside of you. But if I have a hard time believing in the God that the Catholic Church told me or the Southern Baptist Church told me,
Right.
and all of a sudden
Okay.
I found something outside of myself that I could worship and ask for strength and hope from, isn't that a good thing rather than just turning into a wall
Well,
bear and saying, I don't want any of this?
it is a good thing in some ways. In some ways, it's not, because it becomes too individualistic. It's my God and your God and his God and his God, and we don't have to, and I don't have to obey any code. See, I'm worried about the ethical, moral ramifications of all of this stuff. I just have to answer to me then. I'm sorry, yes.
I think that the fact that the baby boomers, being the front runners of the 60s, who are now sold out and have become the yuppies of today, does that take away the validity of anything that they were preaching back in the 60s?
Oh, well, no, you have to allow people to transform themselves. No, I don't think that does. I'm not happy, though, when their attitudes don't change. I like when they do. I mean, you know, I think it's Sonny in chair. Sonny is today a conservative Republican congressman. I don't think he expected to be that in the 60s. I'm happy the way he turned out. Yes.
Hey, Dennis, you speak of degrees. Is it not, in one way, is it not better that even the selfishness of people finding their independent gods and independent ways to God, is that still not better than not finding God at all?
Well, compared to not finding God at all, I'm not sure, frankly. I mean, I don't know what it is. You see, to me, if someone says I believe in God, it is like saying I believe in Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. I need to know what you mean by God. Is it I always ask people who talk like that, does your God morally judge you? That's my first question. If your God doesn't morally judge you, if you don't have a written code that you could say, I have sinned, if I did the following, and that God is going to hold me accountable, then you don't believe in the God that I care about. You see, God as God is not fascinating to me. It's God as moral authority. Okay? You know, that's the issue. I think this rejection of religion and the desire to be spiritual is intellectual laziness, because then you don't have to grapple with anything. I have to struggle with my religion, okay? In my case, Judaism. A Catholic has to struggle with Catholicism. If you don't struggle with your religion, I don't respect that either. So, a yes person, oh, yes, it says it, therefore, hey, no problem. That's not so great either, okay? Let me go to a non-God issue right now, yes.
Non-God issue, I just want to get back to the civil rights issue, is that while I respect Martin Luther King a lot, and yesterday was his birthday and all that, I think another great man in this country who contributed a lot to all the people, just like Martin Luther King, has to give a lot of credit to, and that's Cesar Chavez. Because this country is always black and white, two-tone, and it's not like that. You know, our people have to be given more credit for our contributions to this whole country.
My problem with all of this thinking that I'm hearing from you as well is I'm not thinking in terms of ethnicity and race. The reason that I salute Martin Luther King Jr. is not because he's black. It's because he's great. I want Americans to start thinking in those terms. Is the person great, mediocre, or bad? Not is he black, white. Is it a good American, not good black, not good Hispanic, not good white? That's my dream, if I'm allowed my own dream. And more of my dreams when we come back, when I wrap up. If you plan on being in the Los Angeles area, we would love for you to be part of our studio audience. So give us a call for free tickets at 213-852-4532. Some audience members may receive the Bush Executive Desk, an elegant executive desk with inlaid glass top for home or office from Bush Industries. Quality, ready-to-assemble furniture for today's lifestyle from Bush. Your profession does have a bad reputation today,
Well, it has
and I think it's earned.
Are lawyers out of control in America on the next Dennis Prager?
I called one of those psychic lines.
Oh, forget it. They were so wrong.
You're kidding. I had a great reading when I called.
then it had to be the Psychic Readers Network.
You're right. How'd you know? They have the best psychic.
Oh, I know. And to prove it, they give you a free reading.
A free reading?
Exactly. That's why everyone's calling.
Call now. This call is free.
1-800-529-3134.
Hi, I'm Jim Palmer. If you thought you missed the opportunity to refinance your mortgage when interest rates were low, well, now you've got a second chance. With a recent drop in interest rates, now is the perfect time to refinance your mortgage and lock in a low rate at the money store. Just call 1-800-LOAN-YES. Even if your credit is less than perfect, you can still refinance your mortgage and lower your monthly payments. Don't let this second chance to refinance pass you by. Call the money store today at 1-800-LOAN-YES.
For years, Onondaga County residents have been trashing old mail, letters from Ed McMahon, writing in computer paper, and those umpteen credit card offers that come every week. But now, it's not junk anymore. You can add discarded mail, home office paper, and a whole lot of other paper to your list of recyclables. Look in your newspaper for more information about paper you can or can't recycle. Or call the Operation Separation Hotline at 453-2870. Discarded mail and home office paper. It's not junk anymore.
School's out, and there's so much to do. You'll need lots of energy so you won't miss a thing. The summer food program will make your day the nutritious, delicious way, with a healthy, well-balanced meal at no cost to you. What a deal! If it's in your neighborhood, check it out, because the summer food program can help you stay healthy and strong all summer long. Call 1-800-345-KIDS for the summer food program nearest you.
In good Russian tradition, I'm applauding you, too. It's just, you know, a nice thing I picked up in Moscow. Listen, everybody, this really needs a second or a third or a fourth show, because there's so much of the 60s yet left to talk about. Let me give you one example as I bid you adieu from this show, and that is the substitution of the categories healthy and sick for good and bad. That happened in the 60s. Instead of morality, we have psychology. Now, psychology is very important, but so is morality. So is the notion that there really is a good and an evil. We went to the other extreme in the 60s. That's what I think happened, and it's time for us to go back, not leaving the good stuff behind, but go back to the good stuff that we had before then. Anyway, a lot more next time. Thanks for watching. I hope I've made you think a second time. I'm Dennis Prager. Thank you very much. Okay, very good.
Authors, especially new authors, learn how your book can be produced and promoted. Call 1-800-766-2020 for a free guidebook.
Save up to 70% and more on your contact lenses. Have your prescription ready and call Vision Unlimited. 1-800-2-VISION.
Hey kids, now there's Oscar Mayer Free Brand. Hot dogs, bologna, and turkey with no fat. And the taste you kids love. New Oscar Mayer Free.